it's like everything you want in a marriage minus the emotion.
If you're looking at a partnership, make sure you find that partner and go down this list of things that we talked about: communication, transparency, staying in your lane, knowing what you're good at.
The right partnerships can work, and the right ones are those who are complete opposites of each other.
Ever wonder how the e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they just know the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized, multi-channel marketing campaigns using the most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant email and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with your free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored.
You're listening to E-Commerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso, coming to you from the hotel bunker.
the homeless, at least in our cardboard box.
Yeah. So the mortgage process and bonanza is finally, I believe, over. So I don't have to provide anything. I think they have everything now. I think I'm good. And now I just have to wait.
Maybe after us both going through this, maybe we should have a podcast on entrepreneurs, business owners buying houses and mortgage. What you need to know.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, today, Kev, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're going to talk about something I think is pretty interesting. And that is basically partnerships.
Yeah, and it's something that I think both of us have a past history of partnerships.
Right.
And we're obviously partners together, and we have an ongoing, partnership.
Debate?
What's that?
Oh, debate, I was going to say.
Yeah, no, not a debate necessarily, but like we're always building new partnerships.
Right.
So, I listen to Dave Ramsey. You know that. You're not a big fan of Dave Ramsey, but he gets these calls from people, and they always ask him, some of them are entrepreneurs. They ask him about business, and they ask him about, their partner wants me to co-sign for this or whatever. And his response is always like, never have a partner. He's like, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And
I think I've heard him say a partnership is a sinking ship.
That's the same concept for sure. But I think in a lot of cases, it's true. I mean, because I think a lot of people pick the wrong people. They get into things maybe they shouldn't, because of certain factors, of personalities that get together. And I think like my past experience with a partner, like I had a partner I wasn't really partners with him, but we worked in a partnership environment for like 15 years. And
then you were partners with him at the end.
I was official partners with them at the end. And, the length of partnership and the success we have, I don't really show like the success of the partnership necessarily during the years. I mean, you were with me when I was partners with Dan towards the end, and, it survived. People would always ask us, if we ever fought as partners, and the answer was always no. And, the more and more I think about it, I'm like, that's not a good relationship to have.
We fight all the time.
I really don't think just like a marriage. Like, I don't think you should have a marriage where you don't fight either. Like,
no, because that means you're rolling over. for everything.
Not necessarily
mean-
rolling over. You're passionate about your point of view, and
Right.
it causes, disagreements.
No, I'm saying if you're not fighting, then you're just rolling over. You're not standing your ground. But I mean, so let's just back up to Dave Ramsey. Why I'm not a fan of Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is speaking to even though he has his own business, he's speaking to people who have fixed incomes, people who aren't like us, where 1 month we can do $40,000 in the month, and the next month we could do $10,000 in the month, right? Like, he's talking to people who have jobs, and I'm more of, I'm more from the entrepreneurial type standpoint. I'm not on a fixed income. We make whatever we can figure out how to make, and and he's just one voice, and for some reason he's just been elevated because I don't know. I mean, I've listened to him. I don't. I completely disagree with the partnership thing. I mean, number one, you can get things done much faster with a partner. You can get things going much quicker if you have the right person. I have several entrepreneurial friends of mine who have gigantic companies. I say gigantic, but gigantic from an entrepreneurial standpoint, multi-million-dollar businesses, and they all have partners. One of them worked out in the field, the other one worked in the office. One guy didn't like working in the field, the other guy didn't like working in the office. So they had a very successful business for 30 years. But I think you're right. I think it depends on the two people that are in the partnership. I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you and I completely disagree with you on the Dave Ramsey thing. He has a whole section of his company that is based on entrepreneurship. He wrote a book, Entre Leadership. Yes, he has a stance on partnerships. He doesn't think there should be them. But I think what we're talking about right now is the things that are necessary. Like, I talk about Dave Ramsey in a way like you shouldn't use debt. You shouldn't use debt to build your business. You should work on cash flow. And you're from the other standpoint. You're like, well, we should use the money. We should use the debt to our advantage, use credit to our advantage. Now, I think we've been able to take those two standpoints and kind of meet in the middle. And I think that's like the key point of this whole thing is the ability, the fact that we can have two totally different point of views and end up somewhere in the middle.
Still, yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. So, the difference, right? So like, I'm much more of a bootstrapper kind of guy, like, and he's like, again, like, I'm not a kind of person that like watches every single dollar, and like, I don't look at my bank account and like lose sleep over things. Like I just don't have that personality. Like I remember a guy told me one day, he's like, if you have money problems, like, you don't really have problems. And he also said to me, like, you can always make money. Right. So like, I'm just not of the standpoint that I should work my entire life. I should work my ass off from day and night. And then like, when I make it, I shouldn't buy a Ferrari. I shouldn't because billionaires don't do that. For me, I'm more of the mindset, like, I can die tomorrow. And while I'm here, I'm going to, do my best to do my best. And, look, Kevin, the truth of the matter is, like, as an entrepreneur, you have to take risks, right? And what he's just said is really like the epitome of not taking risks. It's playing it safe. It's making sure that, now the other side of it though, man, is like, I've reaped some of what I've sown. I'm going through it right now with the mortgage. I feel like you have always been really, really good with your finances, whether you were making the money or not. You had a little bit easier of a close than I'm having with my mortgage because I was a little bit more risky.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that I am, between the two of us, I'm the most conservative one between the two of us, and I'm very careful with. I've been through my ups and downs with business, so I'm very careful. But I think you can agree with this, that you have pushed me to be a little bit more risk taking. Like, for instance, like even this journal that we're dealing with, like five years ago, there's no way I would have taken that risk and said, let's just put all our money into this basket and we'll make this work. And I think, again, that's what it takes, is like someone with opposite points of view.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that is like the main thing. Like, we have completely different personalities, right? Like, I will sit here and argue with you for 5 hours and you'll just be like, all right, I'll talk to you later. So like you kind of like need a little bit of that, right? Like, I always think about like, what do we do well naturally? And I think that, you like, you bitch about it, but you're built like, you like going down tasks. You like looking at Monday and making sure things are done. And you like getting on with the employees and making sure they're doing their things. And like, you do that naturally. And I know that you wish I would do that more, but it's just not me. What I do is like, while you're doing that, I'm thinking about like, how can we make more money? How can we, I want to get to $50 million a year. I want to get to $100 million a year. I want to, like, how do we do that? Like, that's how I am built. Like, I'm trying, like, you're built on the other side of it,
But you're the same way. Like, you deep down would wish that I would be more of a visionary. Even with the golf project that we were trying to start for the longest time, you'd always come to me and you're like, it's really hard for me to like get this going if I don't see any kind of motivation from you or passion from you. Well, I'm like, I'm just thinking about it pragmatically. And so I get the same pull from you that I give you as well.
Well, I do it for selfish reasons. I wish you'd be, because like, I feel the tension when you're handling all the customers and like, I'm doing other things. I feel that from you, but whenever I feel that, I always go back and say to myself, like, we're just built differently. And, I always say, like, to myself, I'm like, we just, like, I look at clients as a means to an end, right? Like, I look at it like, they're going to give you money, a fixed amount of money every month. And no matter what you do, no matter how good you do it, they will never give you another dollar. Right. So for me, right. Am I breaking up?
You were, yeah, but you're okay. I heard what you said, so you're good.
Okay.
I understood what you said.
Okay. So for me, like, I feel like I'm at the point where, like, I love working, or I love some of the clients that we work with. And I could see us working with one in particular for probably forever. But for me, it's like the effort, like, even like our biggest client right now, right? They're paying us a lot of money every month.
Right.
We do that like in 2 days with our other company, right? Like, so I think about that and I'm like the time and it's just, for me personally, I just start thinking, you know what I mean? Like, where you, it's like, you have a longer term vision. You're like, and I'm not talking about this one client who pays us all this money, because we love them and we're kind of like family with them. But
I think we would work. We would work with them on anything that they had.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'd go into business with them, quite frankly. But we've been in situations where, like, the client, and I there's one client I'm thinking of that you do more than what they're paying you for, and you don't ever get that appreciation, So I think that, like, the things that you and I butt heads on are the things that are almost necessary for partners to have, because they think differently.
Well, it's
right?
because they think differently. They have different points of view, but their goals are in line, right? They want to get to the same place. And they do have the same vision. I tell you that all the time. Like, I want to be there too. I'm more like, okay, let's take a minute. Let's figure out like all the steps necessary to get this thing done. Oh, well, if we want to get to this point, we have to do all these things first.
Right. But that's when you don't get started, because you talk yourself out of it. Not you, but just in general, when you
No,
do
me,
that,
I do that for sure.
I'm just saying you talk. And I'm not saying, but I'm not saying like you. Like I'm saying like people do that, talk themselves out of it. We're like, I know, like I have to, when I'm excited about something, I have to do it. And if I don't do it, then it like just becomes nothing. Right. And I do think that you and I have a much different skill set. I mean, even when you get annoyed at me that you're doing a lot of the client work, I mean, I think you know that I don't do that stuff as well as you do. Like if I need something like looked over, like you ain't coming to me to do it. You know, if someone needs to look over like something like the work that we're doing, I'm not the one you go to do that, right? Like you're the one that we go to do that. Like if I want something done right, I know that you doing it, it'll get done right. But if I want you to go talk to a client and close a deal, like I don't think that's your strength.
No, just like that. I was just going to say that on the flip side of it, it's like we have a meeting today, or we scheduled a meeting with some potential new client that we're discussing things. That's not my, like, I'm going to get the phone. I get on the phone calls and I'm very like, to the point. Like, I'm like, this is the way it is. This is what we're going to do. I'm not the schmoozer. I'm not the, like the salesperson that you are. So that's when I know that I have that backup on me that you can take over and just, you know, give them all the things that give them all that, those words that they need, all that talk that they need to get them confident in our work. So on the other side of it, or even like we talk to our team, our podcast team, and we're like, we want to get you on other podcasts. We want you to talk to other podcasts. And I'm like, listen, like, it's just not me. Like, it's just not my style. Like, Jason, like that seems like your thing. And that gives you the ability to get our word out and to grow our business. So, and there's just totally different worlds and different ends of this business that need to be met. And I think like when you're thinking about a partnership, to consider all these things, because we were saying on our meeting this morning, he's like, I could never go into partnership with someone like myself. It would just completely butt heads. Same thing with you. There's no way two Jasons would work well together.
No, because you know, we'd be sitting drawing on like whiteboards all day and nothing would get done.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to marriage. My marriage, like I feel like I have a pretty strong marriage, but it's because for the most part, I think because
she's the fucking boss. That's why. Let's just be honest.
Like it's like, yes. I'll give you a friend, like, forget about meetings. Meetings are the same kind of thing. Like, right. So I feel comfort. I'm just being completely honest with you. I feel comfort going places with Michelle, right? And being in group settings with my wife, Michelle, because I know she'll just lead the conversation. And I don't need to be the person sitting there trying to come up with topics and talking about this and that. Cause I know I'll sit there and she'll talk everybody's ear off. And I could just like jump in whenever, and you're the same exact way. I can go into a client meeting with you and I can kind of sit back and take in all the information and fill in the gaps. And you can just go off and talk about whatever. I just don't have that in me. And I think that you need to also be honest with yourself and understand what your strong points are, and, you know, and try to stay in your lane, because I try to cross over sometimes and I get caught up and I'm like, I'm just not that good at it. You know what I mean?
Ever wonder how the e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they just know the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized, multi-channel marketing campaigns using the most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant email and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with your free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored.
Well, I think that's I think that's the part where, you know, we're you have to realize what you're good at. Like, I think in the beginning, you and I tried to be the same, but really, like, you just kind of start stepping on people's toes, and like, you know, you like things done a certain way. I'm not necessarily someone like that. I'm just like, let's figure it out. You know, you have this process.
It eats at me. Like I'll want to really, I want the relief from the work, and I'll hand it off, and I'll give it away. I don't know what the hell's the name of that. To give work away, to give delegate, right? I'll delegate
Right.
work, and then I find myself just like looking over everything. Like, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
It's just not something I can control inside my brain.
Well, and that's why it's important when you start, like, you know, partnerships are weird, right? Like, you get involved with people and you're excited, right? So like, you're excited to do this thing, and then like you get into it and it's like a marriage, and like, you're like, you realize like, that that's what it is. It's a marriage. And you realize that the people that you get into bed with, so to speak, they need to have other skill sets. They can't, you can't get into business with someone. You know, listen, man, we kind of got lucky with this, because like, I bulldogged my way into the partnership with you, and we got lucky that we just happened to be different, you know. But I think for the most part, like, people get into partnership because I got in a partnership with someone last time who sued me for no reason. Um, you know, and so like, that turned out to be a bad partnership. We were kind of like one and the same. We're like, I feel like, you know, for me, like, I go outside, have a cigar, and I'm like trying to think about ways we can make money. I feel like it's like, as long as you're on the computer doing the work, you feel like you're making money. So I think it's really important to be in, you know, like, and that's where Dave Ramsey was probably wrong, right? Like, he should have not said partnerships are bad. He should have said, you know, the right partnerships can work. And the right ones are those who are complete opposites of each other. Because now that I'm thinking about that, like, all my friends who have partners, they're the complete opposite of their partner.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what he meant. Like, I don't think he, take it with a grain of salt when he says like no partnership ever works. I think it's like these things that we're talking about are why they don't work. Like, you don't have levels, like you don't have defined roles, like everyone's just mishmash, and there's a power struggle that happens too if you're not in the right lane. So and a majority of partnerships do fail, from what I understand, is because people go into business with their friends, and people go into business with their wives, and like, I think that can not go well. Even though my wife and I feel like we have a really good relationship, and we're different personalities, I don't think I could ever really go into business with her.
No, and I think the other side of it is like, for me personally, is like, you have to I look at us, our partnership, right? Like, we will definitely argue with each other, we'll definitely like bitch at each other, but like, at the end of the day, we kind of move past it, right? Like, I could see two type A personality people, um who would struggle with that. Like, nobody wants to move on. I mean, another thing is also money. Like, I don't think we really fight too much about money, right? Like, I would like, if I spend like $50, I tell you. If you spend $50, you tell me. And I think a lot of partners don't operate like that. From what I hear, they just act like, look, I own 50% of this company. I'm going to do what I want when I want. I don't have to answer to you. You're not, my boss. We are partners, and 50% of that money is mine. And whatever I want to do with it, I'm going to do. I just was listening to a book from called the $100 Million Offers. And this guy from Alex Hormozy, he was like ClickFunnels. Am I okay, Kev?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And he basically said, like, his business partner, he had $27,400 in the bank, and his business partner just went to the bank and withdrew their last $27,000 and left him with $400 or whatever the number is, but basically took it all. And the truth is, by law, like, you almost can't do anything about it, because the guy owned the company, right? Like he
Yeah.
owned 50% of the company. So like if you wanted to go in the bank account and take all of our money, which I know you wouldn't because you're very worried. You legally have that, and it may be different in different states. So I don't
Yeah,
want everybody
yeah.
yelling at me, but right. But the point is that you have to be trustworthy. You have to trust the person that you're in business with. And I think there's just and I, like I said, like Dave Ramsey, like to me, like that's just one man. I mean, think of Mark Cuban. How many partnerships does he have? Think about all these guys from Shark Tank. Think about how many partners
Yeah.
they have. They're not the only ones running their business. So
Yeah, I mean, partnerships work.
I like to make a statement like that.
Yeah, we know partnerships
Yeah.
work, the right partnerships, and communication is important. Staying in your lane is important. Being transparent, and it's something that I struggled with. Like when we first started, like transparency and just like letting everyone into your world, letting this partner into your world that you built over. Like after my one partnership ended, I was owner of a company for what, 6 months before you bulldozed your ass in there, and we're like, I'm leaving if you don't become partners with me.
I didn't
Remember
say it
that?
like that, asshole.
Yeah,
That's
it was
not what I said.
pretty much like I could probably bring the email. That's for
No,
another
I
episode.
said-
I could just read the email. When I was out on date
I-
night with my wife, I had to read it.
I told you that, look, I get pretty antsy after 2 years or 3 years. Like I do. It's just how I am as an entrepreneur, especially. Like I'm not good at keeping a job. I'm just not. It's just
But I had
something
my
I've
guard
accepted.
up. I had my guard up because
Right,
for
right.
the
You're-
longest time, and it wasn't business relationship wasn't that great, and the transparency side of it was a little shady. So it was like I said, it was like that was a little bit difficult for me to get over a little bit. Like I got to let this guy into my world, but that's what it takes. You got to feel comfortable. I feel completely, 100% confident in your goals and what your vision is and what you see. Like you've said to me before, like you've kind of backed off the agency stuff a little bit. And you're working on some other things. You're like, I'll take less money, that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm not into it. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want that. We're partners for everything. So just hearing that, it gives you like the confidence that, this guy's got my best interest. I have your best interest at heart. And I think that's what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is not like a call to like state each other's cases, but it's just some of the struggle, right? Like, so I'm supposed to be writing the sales page for one of our businesses, right? And it seems like it's pretty easy, like just sit down and write it. But like yesterday we had calls all day. So like it's like hard to just stop a call and then go write the sales page. Today we weren't really, usually Tuesdays are very slow for us. We've been on the phone since 9:00. So it's like, it's, I think the
You're
side
in a
of the business,
hotel.
I'm in a hotel. I've been dealing with my mortgage, which is, like I said, is finally over. But the point is, I feel like your side of the business, which is the client side, it demands your time and you have no choice but to give it your time. Whereas like the sales copy that I'm writing and that kind of stuff, like it's very easy for us to say, well, so-and-so wants to get on a phone call at 3:00. So whatever you're doing, you got to stop. Right. Like, did you hear that or did I break up?
No, you broke up a little bit, but it was okay. I heard it.
Yeah. So I said, like, with the client stuff, it basically takes your time and you can't do anything about it. So like if a client wants to talk to us at 3:00, whatever we're doing, we kind of just stop doing and we talk to them at 3:00. Whereas if I'm sitting writing a sales page and you tell me, hey, so-and-so wants to talk at 3:00, I can't just say, no, I'm working on a sales page. You'd be like, well, our clients are paying us money. So it is a challenge. I mean, it truly is a challenge. Putting my mortgage aside, because that's been a big distraction, but I'm just saying in general, it's a challenge, and you have to, I think, be in business with someone that, like, I know you get mad at me, but like at this point in our relationship, I just kind of like, whatever. He's mad at me. He'll get over it. I'll send out an email and make $40,000 and he'll be happy. So
You should do that. You should do that soon.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm really happy to say that my stuff for the mortgage is done. So I'm back. It's been a big fucking distraction. Anyway,
Well,
partnerships, in my opinion, work as long as they're the right ones.
They do, but we've also been in situations where they don't work. So we have some experience for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to communication. You know, when you're pissed off at me, you'll say something, and when I'm pissed off at you, I'll say something. My last business partner was pissed off at me about something and never said anything, just sued me, right? So like, you got to have that communication.
And I think we can, and it's sometimes I wish this was the deal with my marriage, but we can get into fights or get into disagreements, even via text or via phone calls or whatever. And then it's almost like the next day, it never even happened. Like that doesn't happen with my wife necessarily. It doesn't quite go away.
No, actually, the other day, this is the funny thing. Like the other day, we got in a fight about not a fight, but we were like not arguing. We were going back and forth about something in the text, and like somebody was mad at, and then like 5 minutes later, I like called you, and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" It's just like, like you're right. It's like everything you want in a marriage minus the emotion. Like, like it's the truth. It's like, we fight and we move on. It's not really like that at home.
Communication. I mean, like you said it already. It's like I had that with my old partner. It's like we never really I didn't feel like we ever told each other how we felt. Like, because we were always worried about the other person's feelings. Or
well, you have opened up a lot since dealing with me, I think, and Kevin and Dan is just full of shit. So it's kind of hard to like know when, like, it's kind of hard to talk to him, because he'll yes you to death. He's, a great guy. He'll yes you to death, but you never know what the hell's true.
Yeah,
and what's
absolutely
not.
great guy. On personal level, it was amazing. It was just like, but when you have somebody that just tells you what you want to hear for everything, it's really hard to come back at them with something that they don't want to hear. And that was
Right.
kind of like a never ending cycle. But
Right. So the moral of the story is, make sure you guys handle two different sides of the business. Make sure you trust each other. Make sure you excel in other different sides of the business, because that's where I think most people go wrong is they go into business and they both try to do everything, and they both like we did it. You start stepping on each other's toes and like, well, I have a sales call at 10. Well, how are we going to do the one at 11? Well, like it's just like, you have to know ClickFunnels. Perfect example. Russell Brunson gets all the credit, but when you hear him talk, all he's saying is like, no. I was just the marketing side of this thing. And that's why you see me. But he's like, when we first started, he's like, I was doing nothing. And I was feeling badly that my partner was like doing all this stuff. And I was like, and then basically he said, I just one day said, okay, I might as well start, and
right.
so, he gets all the accolades and stuff, but at the end of the day, he couldn't do ClickFunnels without his business partner.
Right. Yeah. And understanding that is a key, that everybody has their strengths. And like if you ever get into a situation where you're just like wondering what your partner's doing, like I think there's a problem there. Like you shouldn't have to worry about the fact that your partner's doing what's best for the business. And if you do, which we've been in that situation before, and it's like something's wrong there, you shouldn't have that feeling. Then you're in the wrong partnership.
Yeah, because my friend said that to me once. I was like, hey, where's your partner, Steve? He's like, the F if I know. Well, what do you mean? It's 2:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday, and he's your partner. He goes, yeah, but I'm not his effing father. I'm like, we own a business together. I trust that he's doing shit for the business, and yeah, I don't have to be on top of him at all times. So you do have to have the right mindset. I mean, most people that go into business have type A personalities, so it is tough. But if you get lucky enough to find someone, I think that you can split the work.
Are you saying you were lucky to find me? Is that basically what you were saying there? I think it was.
I mean, no, I do think that, like, my friend, partnership, I do think we are extremely lucky and blessed that we have a partnership like this. And like, I have no illusions that the stuff that you do, I'm good at. I know I'm not. And I have zero interest to. Gary Vaynerchuk said, I give zero fucks about real estate. He's like, I know a lot of people get rich on real estate, but I give zero fucks to real estate. And it's like, so kind of thing. It's like, you just have to stay in your lane, like you said. And I think that you can make it work, and you can do double the work.
Just one guy in this article says, unlike a marriage, business partnerships are supposed to end. Saying that like the goal for both partners should be like have this exit strategy. Everybody should leave admirably, mutually, not necessarily leave as friends, but you should dissolve a partnership with lots of money in your bank account at the end. Right?
Yeah. I mean, when you get to that point, I mean, look, if we did $100 million with one of our businesses and you wanted to continue with Fast Forward, our agency, go ahead. I'm not doing it. Like,
but I think too, like, I think that like at this point, that not necessarily the success. Well, the success we've had as our relationship is like we would just continue to do other things. Like,
yeah, we
start a
probably
new
would
business.
try something else. Yeah, I mean, definitely. If we did $100 million and we put 50 million in our bank each, I think our work day would look much different. I mean, it may be like private jets flying back from Myrtle Beach to New York all the time or Jersey, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think it'd be different.
All right, guys. Well, you got to find the right partner. If you're looking at a partnership, make sure you find that partner and go down this list of things that we talked about: communication, transparency, staying in your lane, knowing what you're good at. Those kinds of things are really important. Having defined roles, things like that. So just keep those in mind when you're about to start one of these things. They can work. Absolutely. Jason and I can both say that we've, had our success with our partnership.
Yeah, we've had ups and downs too. I mean, we are the complete antithesis of each other. I mean, you're a very structured person, and I'm like the complete opposite. I'm not structured. My friend told me that I need structure, but
yeah, I mean, people that first meet us, they're like, how are you guys partners? But then like most people, like our one client that you were talking about earlier is like, after they know us for like I totally see how this works for you guys.
right. Because you're like anal and you're like, you're like on top of everything. And I'm just like, how do we find something to make money? Like,
all right. Hope you guys got some value out of that. And thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Attention e-commerce founders, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, marketers, and growth hackers. If you're working round the clock to build your dream e-commerce business, you need an e-commerce marketing platform that works just as hard as you do. That means you need Klaviyo. With Klaviyo, you'll delight customers and drive revenue at the same time, with personalized emails and SMS marketing campaigns that you can design and send in minutes. For more, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored.